Mind Your Farm Business on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by RBC Royal Bank.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mind Your Farm Business podcast brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. I'm your host, Shaun Haney of RealAgriculture.com. Today, we're diving into a conversation that can make or break the future of your farm. Succession planning. I know we've talked about this before, but I'm not sure we've talked about it enough because we still need to do better at this. And we're going to talk about this topic, but not the kind of planning where you draft and you kind of hope you draft a plan and then you just sort of hope for the best. We're talking about creating a deliberate, transparent, and well-communicated plan for transferring not just your assets, but leadership, purpose, and also responsibility. Joining me today is Tom Deans. He's an author of 3 books. His best-selling book was Every Family's Business. The second one was Willing Wisdom, and a new book that you got to check out, The Happy Inheritor. You know, Tom is so full of insights and just has so many great things to say. He's traveled around the world speaking to not only farm families, but entrepreneurs in general, helping them shift from what he calls the silent assumptions to more open, honest conversations about wealth, transition, and legacy. We're going to dig into why formal wills alone are not enough, how communication is the real driver of successful farm transitions, and why the old mindset of keeping the next generation in the dark is setting up families and the farm for avoidable conflict. This is a conversation that may challenge some long-held beliefs that you have, but as Tom says, farms that talk about the tough stuff are the ones that endure. Let's get into it. Tom, it is great to have you back on the Mind Your Farm Business podcast.
I missed you, Shaun.
Did you? Sitting there in the hotel room just thinking about me.
We enjoy our chats. They're always a little bit edgy and fun.
Yeah,
They should, right?
Yeah.
We're asking your listeners to carve out a little piece of their day. Let's give them something. Let's give them something rich.
Absolutely. So obviously a lot of our audience is agriculture, and I've always said that, ag management or farm management issues are really entrepreneur issues. You speak to a lot of agricultural groups, but also groups outside of agriculture all across Canada and the United States. What are some of are there threads of things that you continue to hear no matter what industry you're talking to?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter if it's auto dealerships or restaurant associations, whatever the convention, agriculture. The one theme that is absolutely consistent, and it's actually working and going in the wrong direction, and that's the hint. Nothing. Zero. Silence. They don't know how to talk about money. You got farms worth staggering amounts of money. You got 15 million Canadians without a will. You got 137 million American adults without a will. You got half of all business owners in Canada, half of all business owners in the United States without the most basic document in an estate plan. So if you don't have a will, you do not have a transition plan.
Yeah.
Now, the province of Saskatchewan has one for you. The province of Alberta, I was speaking in Sioux Falls, South Dakota 2 weeks ago. The state of South Dakota's got a nifty little plan waiting for you in the background if you don't want to do your own work. They're going to divide up your farm according to that formula, that state or provincial formula. And trust me, your family won't be very pleased either with the formula or you. Now, you're gone, so you may not know. Or maybe you do. I don't know. No one knows. But someone's not going to be very happy with the fact that you didn't spend $1,000 to write a will. So, women in Canada live 6 years longer than men. I get more phone calls from elderly women whose, say, farm owner husband has already predeceased them. And you know what they tell me, Shaun? They want to bring their husband back from the dead and kill them themselves. They are not happy.
I could see why, though, because you leave a mess.
Oh, and okay, good news. You saved $1,000 on a will. Great. Now you got $500,000 worth of legal fees to clean up the mess that has been created when you've got children that are fighting over the farm, litigating. You know, in my new book, The Happy Inheritor, it took me 10 years to research and write that book. I'll tell you, it took me forever to find the real number, the real accurate number that captures the cost of family estate litigation. And it is $500,000 per person to get to a one-day family estate litigation matter, a day in court. $500,000 per person. You got 4 kids, you've got 5 lawyers at $500,000.
Wow.
I tell people all the time, if you think divorce is expensive, that's like a dress rehearsal for the really big show, which is family estate litigation, because there's more lawyers. But here's the best part, John. Guess who pays the legal fees? Only lawyers would invent a business model like this. The estate pays all the legal fees for everyone. So you got a $3 million farm, you got a $10 million farm, you'd be shocked at how quickly lawyers can grind down $5 or $10 million of an estate to zero.
Yeah. You probably see it.
I do see it.
Yeah.
I do see it.
Like, if money is so, like, this is what I don't understand. If you provide the example of $1,000. So to do it, go to the lawyers, get it done. You can update it. It's like, it's not like a set in stone sort of thing. You can always update it. I updated mine recently. It's $1,000. On the other hand, especially in a lot of, like, with entrepreneurs, and I think especially in agriculture, we don't talk about money, and it's precious. Like, there's a lot of generational, like the depression, like, where people are tight with their money. And so why are we so missing on the cost benefit portion of that? We think about the upfront cost versus, like, the cost that is out we're trying to save ourselves from. And people talk about all the time, hey, I want to keep this family together. I want the family to talk when this is all over and I'm not around. Well, one way to guarantee that nobody talks is to not figure this stuff out when you're living.
Yeah. There's a couple of really well documented and well researched examples and explanations of why people do nothing. Ready? Number 1, superstition. There are some people who believe if you go to a lawyer, give them, that lawyer, your instructions, have the will drafted, sign the will, bring the will home. They believe that studies show that you will immediately die. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that was a thing. But I'm here to learn.
Listen, I have taken my will out in the middle of a keynote and thrown it out into the audience. You should walk people. I don't know. I don't want to touch that thing. And it's like, folks, read it. I don't care. I die, my wealth goes to my wife. My wife and I die at the same time. Our wealth goes to our two children. They're 31 and 30 years old. We have just made them co-executors. Seriously, I don't know what the big deal is. But there are some people who have never seen a will, never read a will, never held a will. So superstition, so there's cost of superstition. And then there's this idea of procrastinitis, which is, I don't want to spend $1,000. You touched on it, actually. I don't want to spend $1,000, write my will, because my brother's going to have a kid. I'm going to have a new nephew, and it's just going to be outdated. So I'll wait for that event to happen. Then I'll add them. So, but you know, and I know, there's always something coming down the road. If that's our logic, we'll never get one done. Yeah. And then we're going to leave a mess. And by the way, if we don't have a will, we don't have a financial power of attorney. We don't have a healthcare directive. We go in for the will, but we come out with those 2 bonus documents. Those 2 bonus documents are very much about the living, right? We always think that estate planning is about, I don't know, answering the question, who gets my stuff when I'm dead? The reality is, estate planning is very much about the living. Say you, I don't know, walk out of your office, you slip, you bump your head, you're unconscious. Good news is you're going to get better. But in the meantime, your financial power of attorney has appointed someone to run your personal finances as if they were you, in your best interest. Pay your bills, keep things going. Then you get better, and then it's revoked, and then away you go. You don't have a will. You don't have that document. You don't have a will. I can tell you, right? Where are you right now? Are you in?
I'm in Lethbridge.
You're in Lethbridge. Okay, so right now in Lethbridge, in your local hospital, there is a family in the hallway, and the doctor has gathered all the family members. Maybe someone's flown in from Toronto or Calgary, and the family's there. And the doctor's looking for clarity on how they want to proceed with mom or dad's life. And there's no healthcare directive. So there's no document guiding that conversation. So now it's a committee. How do you think that's going to go if there's been no prior family discussion? In many families, the children have a copy of that document, and they're waiting to hear very specific language: irreversible brain damage, vegetative state, you hear those words, you know how to proceed.
Mm-hmm.
This is an incredible non-financial gift to give children. Clarity around how they can serve you when you lose capacity. So in the absence of that document, you tell me how that family is going to pick the right second or the right minute of the right day to terminate their parent's life. Someone's going to feel like they moved too slow, mom and dad suffered, or moved too quickly. This is how the administration of an estate begins, because there's no document, there's chaos, family ambivalence and acrimony. And here we go again. The courts are absolutely jam full of families fighting over farms and cars and you name it. It's got to change. And that's why I wrote these books.
Or an element here, like, because, I have seen you give your keynotes. You've been talking about this for a long time. You got 3 books out on it. There's other people that, are in this space as well. Are we improving, or are we fighting human nature here?
When I started, Shaun, there were 12.5 million people. This is 18 years ago. 12.5 million Canadians without a will. Now there's 15 million people.
Oh, Lord. Seriously?
My wife has suggested I stop traveling and speaking and writing books on the subject. The number's getting worse.
Tom Deans, you're not helping.
It's not funny. I've been trying to put fun back into funeral for a long time, but it's not working particularly well. It's really, really frustrating. But my newest book that just released, The Happy Inheritor, really includes, I've given this a lot of thought. 18 years of thought, in fact. There's only one solution to all of this, and that is a facilitated family meeting where the senior generation who has built and created wealth gathers their children with a trusted advisor. You can't do this on your own. If you try, it's not going to work well. This family's going to devolve into chaos. But if you have another third-party professional, accountant, lawyer, wealth advisor in that family meeting with an agenda, tackling relatively easy questions first to build some success, and then move into more difficult issues, this is what successful families are doing. It's not being reported. Who wants to watch or read an article about a successful family that meets once a year with their advisor to share their estate planning documents, build trust and mutual respect around the concept of money, answering the question, who will inherit how much, when, and who wants to read that story? What are we watching on Netflix? Chaos.
Disaster.
Blowing up their wealth and blowing up their family.
Look at the sitcom Succession. That's bad stuff.
Biggest grossing sitcom, drama, full time on that platform. So
go ahead.
You can go back to the 80s with Dallas.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Every decade, we love this idea that families of money should blow it up. Shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves.
Yeah.
Right? That's just the way it is. Well, it's nonsense. There's lots of families that do a really, really good job of preparing their heirs to receive what is a staggering amount of money now. Even the modest estates are in the millions.
We had a recent Mind Your Farm Business podcast guest that talked about having discussions with your kids, and he had mentioned, the idea of family meetings talking about money, but he also emphasized because all your kids are different and the way their relationship with money is different. He encouraged to have one-on-one meetings as well, so that you could have certain messaging to some of your kids versus some of the others.
Yeah, I think going back to the family meeting, the biggest benefit of family meeting, though, is that everyone hears the same thing at the same time, which is very different from a parent dying. There's been no family meeting, and then someone steps up and saying, "I don't know if you know this, guys, but yeah, Dad definitely wanted me to have the boat."
Yeah,
like when there's family.
Oh, by the way, Dad wanted you to have the house in the small town where we grew up. He wanted me to have the lake house.
Yeah,
he said that to me. You didn't have a conversation with you? That's weird. That's super strange.
So weird. So family meetings deals with that right on. Everyone's there. There's real discipline and rigor in governance, right? We treat our businesses with respect. Well, that business gets sold and now it sits as cash, not as land. That cash needs governance. It needs help. It needs structure. It needs to be, the people who are going to receive that cash need coaching. So the family meetings that I attend as a speaking resource, I've spoken in hundreds of family meetings. just as a speaker, author, speaker. And it's unreal how much transparency there is about money. And people know what is coming their way and they're prepared for it. And here's the best part. They share the same advisor. Okay. So it's not the parents are with Raymond James and the kids are with Edward Jones and the grandchildren are with, I don't know, fill in the blank, some other wealth advice. Seriously, they share accountants and lawyers and the same wealth management, and there's continuity of advice. And the advisors are offering parents to work one-on-one, to your point, with the children to teach them about advanced financial concepts like spend less than you make. The power of compounding interest.
That's great.
Oh, I know. Nutty stuff.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It just might work. But that is what they do. They teach, they resource, they educate their children. They teach them what wealth is and, quite frankly, what wealth is not. They tell family stories. They tell how that farm was started and what happened over the decades and the risk and the tragedy and the farm accidents. And they tell those stories to connect that rising generation to understand that what preceded them was typically, almost always, a really tough journey of wealth creation.
We're going to get back to my conversation with Tom Deans, but first a word from our sponsor, RBC Royal Bank.
This episode of the Mind Your Farm Business podcast is brought to you by RBC. Your idea of passing down or picking up the reins happens here. Succession planning is about more than just handing over the keys. It's about creating a path forward for your farm, your family, and your future. Whether you're stepping aside or stepping up, RBC and their team of experts are here to help guide the transition. Visit rbc.com/agriculture to learn more.
Now, we got to be careful, though, because I think well, you tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times we talk about this like, teaching, as if the younger generation is like the problem, but the older generation they're an accomplice in some of these disasters.
100%. Yeah, because, well, I can give a long answer, but let me give you a relatively short one. There is an academic study, families as a system, as an organization. And the central idea of family systems theory is that families repeat. You got two parents who smoke, you're going to have higher probability that one of your children is going to smoke. You got two entrepreneur parents, high probability you're going to have a child who's an entrepreneur. We repeat good stuff, we repeat bad stuff. Okay? We have a generation, take the farming sector, of farmers who are going to leave just a staggering amount of wealth to their children.
Yeah.
And they are practicing estate planning exactly the way their parents did. And half of those parents didn't have wills. So you have listen, there's someone listening right now with a $30 million farm with no will. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
And they probably, even after hearing this, they're just going to repeat what their parents and grandparents did. And it's going to end bad. And because the stakes are so high. And there wasn't 8 kids in the family. There's 2. But not like so what's at risk now is much larger. That's why people are lawyering up and the courts are full of families in disputes over farms because there's only 2 kids. 30 million divided by 2 is 50 million. That's a lot of cabbage.
A lot of money.
So the stakes are higher. And of course they lawyer up and here we go again. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to get out in front of this. And I'm not doing it. I'm encouraging people to work with advisors who are trained, who understand that picking stocks is table stakes. There are advisors, whether it's the blue team, the red team, the green team, the gold team. Listen, everyone can pick stocks, especially with AI. So what is differentiating a great advisor and advisory firm from another? What is it? It's all those other bolt-on services that they can add to the client relationship. Retirement planning, cash flow planning, estate planning, business succession planning, all those things, great advisors are providing that for their clients.
Yeah, there's a lot of farm families out there. I can think of a couple off the top of my head. Friends of mine where the succession happens, people think it was taken care of. And there was a plan, and then things like tax consequences happen, and who the heck was advising mom and dad that this was the outcome? Because there was a massive blind spot, and all of a sudden like we've got a whole bunch of costs we really didn't need to incur, but it just set up improperly given the circumstances and how the business had grown. Back to your point about that, managing the succession plan is if the farm's still worth, $1 million, now it's worth 25, and you need different tools and tactics and especially from a tax planning perspective. So I think there's a lot of people out there like that too.
Yeah, so there's a statistic in the wealth management industry that's alarming, and that is that 80% of inherited money packs up and moves to a new advisor. And the advisors know this. So it's starting to change. Advisors are starting to really key into this fact that, this next generation is going to pack up unless that advisor reaches out. And that's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to offer this facilitated family meeting to get family to come together to talk about their wealth. And listen, the first casualty of estate planning is perspective. We're talking about families gathering to talk about surplus capital transitioning on death. That is a really, really nice problem to have, because there's another family down the road who doesn't have any money, and they're not meeting. Oh, they are meeting, but they're meeting to talk about how to fund, I don't know, the next generation with debt. There's nothing.
Yeah.
So, these are awesome problems to have, but problems nevertheless, and they can't be ignored.
In putting this book together, it's the third one in the trilogy. What was your biggest learning? Did anything kind of, in doing your research, did anything kind of change your opinion on something?
First of all, yeah, it occurred to me, having presented to a lot of families, that they were just, all these meetings were ending really, really well. And I was trying to what is it? Is it about the design of the meeting? And then it really occurred to me that families are self-selecting. So parents who are kind and decent and empathetic, who want the very best for their children, they're going to have a meeting. They're going to listen to this, and they're going to be curious. They may even read a book. And so others would not have a family meeting. They would maybe hear this. They certainly wouldn't read the book. And they will never have a family meeting. Do you know why? Shaun, is because they already know everything. There's a certain personality that is attracted to business ownership. Let's call them a covert narcissist who craves control. Mm-hmm. They use control, they use their business, they use their money to control their adult children and every aspect of their adult children's lives. They are deeply corrosive, destructive. They're not building families, they're destroying families. And they're even promising assets to their children that they don't even own. Like, they're pathological liars. So they're not going to have a family meeting. And this is why family meetings end well, because they're self-selecting. Families that meet and gather and work with their advisor from the perspective of creating great outcomes so that their children live productive, interesting lives, those are decent people. And most people are decent and kind and want the best for their family. They may have concerns about their children and their drive and their ambition and their talent and their commitment to the farm, but they are still using their family meeting and their advisor's expertise to explore those relationships.
What role what role do the non-operating family members, or I was thinking non-operating spouse, where it's mom's farm and or vice versa, and not involved but not involved, so to speak. They can be a real driver to having a good outcome.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of a family meeting, and let's talk about the design of these family meetings. They're, some of the best family meetings are, 2 generations to start with. And typically, this is going to sound weird, but they're sitting at a round table. You know what a round table is? It's democratic. There's no head of a round table.
Right.
So it's not like, I've got the money, let's have a family meeting. I'm going to ask you kids a bunch of questions. Whoever's got the best answer is going to get more money. That is not what I'm talking. The best family meetings are at round tables. It sounds weird, but they're democratic, and everyone is seen and heard with equanimity. Everyone is allowed to express their unique talents and skills and hopes and aspirations. They're incredible meetings. I have seen two parents in a family meeting, a recent one actually, struggle. They really wanted to treat both of their children equally, financially, with their estate. Except they had one son who was like a super high performer, MBA, just a rock star, making a ton of money. And the daughter was struggling with addiction and just trying to care for herself. And yet had this cognitive dissonance, right? Two core beliefs that were in opposition. I love both my kids. I want them to treat them equally, but I'm really worried about our daughter and what money would do to her. But she needs help. So they're struggling with. And I see this play out in the family meeting, and I see the son go kind of like this, go like, time out, mom and dad. Just let me just say something. I'm okay if you give my piece to my sister. I would be thrilled. She needs our help, and she needs some help, real help, and it's going to be expensive help. And I would like to relinquish my portion of the estate and give it to her. I have seen moments in family meetings that are shocking. There is great decency in this world. And if that family hadn't had the courage to start this process, they never would have revealed that ultimate gift, which is this real compassion that a brother had for a sister.
That is impactful. In this process, how important? I think the answer is it is important, but putting the objectives on the table, like what are we actually trying to accomplish? And realizing that all of the stakeholders are coming at it from some sort of different angle. For somebody, it may be like, I'm having a hard time. I need as much money out of this as possible. For some people, it may be, I want this business to continue to the next generation, the legacy aspect of it. Everybody has a different angle and they have different personal needs or desires. Is laying that out really just something super critical at the beginning of that process?
In fact, I would say it is at the very beginning of the process. Every family meeting that I have attended, the families start really with one objective, and that is to have the first meeting be a success, actually even fun. So that is what they do. They create a family mission statement together. They just say, basically, we're going to meet as a family going forward at least once a year. And so we need like a constitution. That's way too formal a word. We need a family mission statement. Like what would be a great 2 or 3 sentence that captures where we want to go together as a family, using our wealth to really deepen relationships and trust and mutual respect. So they craft that mission statement. Then they also have a confidentiality statement, which everyone signs and agrees to, so that kind of clears the way for everyone to speak very honestly and openly. And once you have those 2 documents in place, then families can then get down to the business of really talking about really easy and basic and fun topics. Like topic number 1 for the first family meeting could be selection of an executor. So mom and dad could say, listen, we've gathered you kids here today, and we're just going to tackle one thing. We're flying on a plane together. Nothing says, that we're going to land safe. So we have to update our will. And instead of proclaiming who our executor is going to be, we thought we'd get you guys in the room together. And we thought we'd kick it around together as a family and have everyone weigh in on that. And maybe we'll make a better decision as a family.
Yeah.
You see what just happened there, that relinquishing of control and power, and saying, we're old, but we need your help, because whoever we selected an executor will really impact your lives. They're going to be dealing with an executor for a couple of years after we're dead. So you should probably weigh in on that. Is it you guys? Do you want to do it collaboratively? Should we hire a public trustee? Let's get at this together.
Mm-hmm.
That's a family meeting. That could be family meeting number 1.
We got wills, we got family meetings. Are there any other common characteristics of family businesses that do this right?
Well, yeah. So family businesses also have the family meetings, and so they're gonna ultimately, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successful family meetings, knocking off progressively harder subjects, they're ultimately going to get to the elephant in the room, which is, where's this farm going? Okay, where's it going? Like, we got one child off farm, one child on farm. How is fair going to be equal?
No.
What it look like? So these problems don't go away, but they bring in experts and they start saying, well, here are your technical options. Here's how you can get at fairness and equality. Here's how you can use insurance products or different legal structures. But they get at that collaboratively, transparently. That's very different from what's going on right now on the prairies, for example, where someone's sat down with a lawyer, drafted a will, kept it secret, squirreled away, and everyone's waiting for clarity on who's going to get the farm. And it's only going to be revealed at the funeral home when someone pulls out the will for the first time.
Right.
Way too late. Way too late.
You're tackling those tough things. And we talked about the round table. It's more democratic. But at the end of the day, it's not a democracy. But my assumption is there's some transparency around how this decision is being made and why it is so. In a way that's different than this is the hand that writes the checks, I'm assuming. But
I mean, you have to go back to my first book where I talk about the transition to a family business, where I talk about, and this is where if we have next gens listening, they're going to cringe, but here it is. I mean, the book has sold 1.5 million copies primarily because of this message right here, right now. And this is it. If the next generation wants to buy the farm, they need to buy it at full market value based on a third-party valuation, no discounts for kids. So the next generation right now just heard that and they're like, "Oh my God, I hope my parents don't hear this."
I remember I've heard you say that to farm to groups in a setting. You can hear people just
You hear the gasping. But then I slide right into part two, which is it begs the question: where is Junior going to come up with $25 million to buy a farm that's worth $25 million and 50,000? Like they don't have the cash flow. So what I really, and I see this in family meetings, what the parents are doing is they're pulling some of that wealth out of their operating business and they're gifting it to their children while they're still alive. And then they're saying to their kids, do you want to buy one share in the business? Yes or no? And don't tell me you don't have money because we just gave you some. Do you want to return the money I just gave you in exchange for that number of shares that money can purchase at full market value? Yes or no? Here's what I've been learning, Shaun. Guess what the next generation does?
They say no?
They take the cash.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
They like the farming operation. They like their work, but they don't want to be owners. They don't want to risk it. They don't want to risk their inheritance to buy the farm. Some do. I mean, it's not all of them taking the money and run, but this is so when parents pull their money out, some cash out of the farming operation and then give it to their kids, the value of the farm comes down by that amount.
Yeah.
Right? It becomes more expensive, less expensive to purchase.
But can we just? But that's the younger generation not understanding the math though, because if I buy that farm business at a high, it's expensive. I don't know how my cash flow is, but I'm buying it for that high amount. My parents are getting the money.
Yes.
I'm not increasing my inheritance.
Well, keep going because you're right on track. So watch this. You're the farmer. You take $10,000, $20,000 out of your farming operation. You got two kids. You give them each $10,000. Now you say, do you want to buy the farm? One of the kids go, yeah. So they give $10,000 back to their mother and father. Now mom and dad get hit by a bus. They're dead. Now there's a will that treats both kids equally. So they give of that $10,000 that was returned back to them, they give $5,000 to one child, $5,000 to the other. What I'm actually describing is actually children, how they can buy their parents' business if there's two kids for a 50% discount.
Mm-hmm.
It actually works. Now, so this is how we get farming operations into one branch of the family. Otherwise, what we're gonna continue to do is put brothers and sisters into business together as equal shareholders.
Bad idea. Bad idea.
You're a bad idea. And so usually the child off farm, what do they want from their brother or sister who's on the farm? I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with funny. They want money and they want it quick, right? Remember, their last parent is dead. They're getting, letters from CRA, ask for capital gains. Like there's no cash flow. It is a disaster. And so the children are wearing the shame and the blame for blowing up their parents' farm. It's not their fault. It's not like they're lazy. It was just designed to blow up. And they wear the public shame in the community.
Yeah.
It's not right.
That's a burden too. Tom, Thanks so much for joining us here. This has been awesome. We got to do this more often. I always appreciate discussions with you. Again, mention the book.
Yeah, it's called The Happy Inheritor. You can find it. Listen, it's just you're not going to find it on Amazon, and even if you do, it's probably going to be a used copy that's all marked up. I got a problem with Amazon. They keep all these resellers selling used books as new. Don't go there. Go straight to my website, thomaswilliamdeans.com, and you can find all my books there. Shipping is free. Prices are great. And but wait, that's not all. We'll throw in a bamboo steamer.
You know what? If you get a chance to check out one of Tom's keynotes, excellent. I highly encourage everybody to do so. And if he is coming to one of your local farm meetings, encourage you to check him out. Tom, thanks a lot.
John, always a pleasure. Cheers.
That wraps up another insightful episode of the Mind Your Farm Business podcast. Big shout out to Tom Deans for sharing his no-nonsense approach to farm succession planning. Tom's message is clear. Succession isn't just a legal or financial exercise. It's a family conversation that needs to happen early, often, and out loud. And it's those conversations, not just documents, that protect the farm, the family, and of course the legacy that you've worked so hard to build. For more episodes of the Mind Your Farm Business podcast, it's simple. You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or you can go to mindyourfarmbusiness.com. Also, big shout out to RBC Royal Bank for supporting this podcast series. If you got any feedback, is there things that you heard from Tom there that triggered some thoughts? Maybe you got some comments, maybe some more questions. Maybe you disagree with some things. You can send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com, or you can call 855-776-6147. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep on minding your farm business.